Hello, my name's Stuart.
And I'm Jeff, and welcome to
Adventures with Stuart and Jeff.
Hi everyone, so this video is going to be about just some frequently asked questions and a few little tips that might help you out when you are booking your own cruise. It's going to cover different things from booking the actual cruise, to use a travel agent or not, getting to the port, drinks packages, internet, a few different things, and it's just to give you a little bit of insight before or even after you've booked your cruise.
Right, so we're going to start off talking about travel agents. Do you need to use a travel agent? So in the UK, we don't really have any specialist travel agents that deal just solely with cruises. So we find it's easier just to deal with Royal Caribbean themselves and organise our own flights. And we find out that works out a little bit better and we're more in control.
Looking for Americans, you have people who specialise in cruises in your country, and there'll be many of them that you'll have seen on other YouTube videos and possibly commercials and things like that to book them, and they reprice your cruises regular for you to save you money. The only way that people from the UK, Europe get some of these bargains for reprices is by booking with Next Cruise Onboard. You usually get up to 3 months prior to use this rebook, and that's prior to you actually cruising, and hopefully it's going to work out for you. It's nice just to have that one little option, and it could be if you want to move it to a different sail date, or someone in your party is not coming, or someone is coming. It just gives you that little bit of flexibility.
Another advantage of booking through Next Cruise is you often get a lower deposit to book your cruise to start with, and they'll also give you some extra onboard credit, which always comes in pay towards your drinks packages or excursions.
So, what is included in your cruise fare? It will include all the food in your main dining room, the buffet restaurant, which is called the Windjammer, Park Cafe, which usually does sandwiches. We recommend the roast beef bun with a bit of gravy, very tasty. The pizza shop, which is called Sorrento's, and also includes select soft drinks in the Windjammer main dining room again. Tea and filter coffee are available in certain parts of the ship, such as the Park Cafe and the Windjammer, and in the main dining room. Any specialty coffees will need to be paid for. The doo-doo flavoured teas, which are free, and you can just help yourself to them.
Tap water is available from all the bars, free of charge, and it's safe to drink.
We do recommend not to drink it out of your tap in your room though. Your port taxes are also included in the fare, so there's no worry about that.
The cruise planner. The cruise planner is Royal Caribbean's way of pre-purchasing items before the cruise. Now, the things that are available are shore excursions, your drinks packages, your special dining, it's like your steakhouse, your Italian, internet, VIP passes, which includes something called the key.
It's something we've never used, but we've also heard other people use it. But it gets you, I think over time it's devalued of what pros you actually get from it. So you used to be able to jump the queue on boarding day. You used to have certain seats in the ice shows, the theatre shows, but they seem to have slowly dwindled away, and it's more for people in suite or pinnacle. Depending on what time you're turning up at the cruise terminal anyway, they don't really hold back, they'll let you go on. So
well, we found in the shows, the actual seats that were put aside for the VIP passes and the key were actually not really desirable seats.
No, sometimes they're the front row seats, and like what you might find is actually, especially in the theatre, you're actually looking up more rather than sitting further back, like even 5 rows back, and you're actually sat more straightforward like I am now.
So it's fair to say we don't really recommend the key. Other things that are available through the cruise planner are the spa and wellness, which is your massages, your hair salon, your face treatments, all the lady stuff.
And men have all this stuff done nowadays. Let's not be sexist.
Onboard activities such as the casitas that you can rent, which are by the pool, sushi making classes, cupcake decorating, and the wine tasting.
Now, wine tasting, obviously, this is probably only going to be a bonus if you haven't bought the drinks package already, because there is a bar on board called Vintages where they do wine only. I say only, they do other drinks, but it's very focused on wine. So I don't know how many people do take up the wine tasting classes.
Next is the photo packages that you can purchase through the cruise planner. Now the photo packages, they do different amounts of photos. So you might have 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, 200. Each time it's only a little bit more to buy more photos. A typical example is if you booked 10 photos, it might be £100. If you booked 20, it might be £130. So sometimes if you're in a larger party, it's worthwhile just spending a little bit more on the next package up. One of the options that you have in the photo packages is you can either have the photos printed, so you're taking home a copy, or you can have them digitally sent to you, emailed to you, or put on your phone. We tend to use that option rather than the printed photos, so you can put them on your Facebook and your social media.
The good thing about the photo packages is if you enjoy having a photo taken, there's so many opportunities throughout the cruise. Before dinner, during dinner, after dinner, when you're getting off on port, when you're coming back on port, if you're on the private islands, there's just so many options. So like Jeff said, if you were a big party and you're all getting different photos, get them all put in one room, and then you're able to sort of use a photo package. Again, it's cheaper to buy before you go, but it's a hard one because how many photos are you going to have? Because you just don't know, do you? Do you know what I mean? So it all depends. But the other thing that you can also book on board, I think you can also book it prior. You can actually have a photo session with a professional photographer, but that will not include the photos in this photo package. And the last bit is for your little tykes that you may bring on board. And when I say tykes, this goes from 0 to 18 and older. The arcade credit. The arcades are hit and miss depending on the ship. On your smaller and older ships, the arcades are not as good as the newer, bigger, fantastic ships. They're all fantastic, but they offer all different things. So you can pre-purchase the arcade credit.
If you pre-book it, you do get a discount. There's 20% discount on the arcade credit, which is on all the time on the cruise planner, and it doesn't really go up or down. So if you know that your kids are going to use it, it's worthwhile getting it. But on the whole, there probably isn't enough there, and there's a lot of machines tend to be out of order, what we've found.
One thing you can do when you get on board, you can go to guest services and cap your child and adult child off for a set amount of dollars per day. You can choose. You might say they can have $10 a day, $5 a day, and once they've hit that limit, it stops. As much as it's called arcade credit, obviously you may know about Playmakers. Playmakers now have some old school games like Pac-Man or Mario, which use the arcade credit. It's the same for the basketball machines that some of them have.
We've found that there is machines scattered around the ship.
There's a lot more than there used to be.
And there's some of the basketball machines as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
In Playmakers. So yeah, any of the machines take the arcade credit. So when to purchase items from the cruise planner. So the basic rule of thumb that we use is book as soon as you know that you want the item. Items will fluctuate up and down all the time, so you can cancel and rebook at the better price, but items won't always come down again. So get it at the best price you can and keep checking.
Royal Maths, you'll hear people talk about it on the Facebook groups, cruising forums. Royal have a funny way of doing this. They will say, oh look, we've got 45% off, that looks fantastic, but then what you're realizing is actually it's 45% off 120 quid when actually I got it off a lower price with a lower percentage, and it worked out better. So always check the top price and make sure it works out for you. You can add it to your basket like you do with everything online, and you can check before cancelling and rebooking it, just so that you are getting the best price for your shore excursions, your drinks packages, your internet, all these treatments that you may want. It doesn't have to be an expensive holiday if you're able to save money coming back.
And always remember, with Royal Caribbean, if depending on which country you're in, we're in the United Kingdom, so the price that we see is the price you pay. Nothing's added on top. There's no tax, there's no gratuities. The price you see is the price that you pay. In other countries like America, they're adding taxes and gratuities on top, which won't get added on until you actually get to the cart right at the end where it wants the payment. So one thing to notice, that if depending on which country you're in, it'll determine what price you're going to get at the end of the day.
Our next subject, excursions. Again, you can pre-book these before the cruise. It will make things cheaper again. Again, as we've said, book it when you first see it. Pay the price that you feel that you're comfortable with. Again, and if it comes down, you can cancel, rebook. Now, you can book a private transfer excursion with different companies, which we know are usually really much cheaper, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that's great because, we all like to have a little bit of saving. But what you've got to remember, if you are laid back to the ship will go without you. It's never happened in the 12 years we've been cruising, but we have heard about it and seen TikToks about being back on time and things like that. The security of booking it with Royal Caribbean, if you are late back, they will wait for the excursion, depending on how long they will have to wait, because Royal Caribbean will have a set time to leave and they'll have some leeway, but then obviously they will get charged for leaving late, which they don't want to do. In the event that they can't get you back to the ship, they do try their best to get you to the next port. So it is always worth taking your passport with you, just in case, as even in some countries, actually they want to see your passport before you get on board. Nassau is one of them, and we've done that a few times, and they just check who you are and make sure that it matches up with your CPAS card. I think Americans can take driving license or birth certificates. Is that right?
It depends where they are.
Yeah, and so, but obviously, passport is always best.
We never used to take our passports on land, but now we've got into a routine of taking it with us just in case. We have been taking smaller children as we're foster carers away with us, and you never know when they're going to fall, hurt themselves, where you might need to go to a hospital or something. You got your passport, you can always get home, or you can make further arrangements. If your passport's on board on the ship and you're safe, it's no good to you. So let's talk about time. Time in different countries changes. You should always set your watch to the ship time, because that's going to be the time that you have to be able to get back on board the ship. You don't want to miss the cruise just because you haven't changed your watch. What you'll find is your room steward will put a little note in your room saying that the time's changed. So just pay attention to that.
Remember, because if you come out of America and you go down to Mexico, the hours can change. So that could be an hour forward or an hour backwards. And like Jeff said, if you haven't done that, then it's going to go without you. This is why we do prefer ourselves to get off early and come back as early as possible, just in case. Next up, we're going to talk about drinks packages. You can either pay as you go or have a better option of having a drinks package if you do like a drink. But again, it's not just all about the alcohol. There is like soft drinks packages and coffee packages, and we'll go through that just to give you a little rundown of each option.
One of the good things about the drinks packages is that they are unlimited with Royal Caribbean. So that's a fantastic bargain if you like a drink.
But again, it does cover soft drinks and unlimited soft drinks, coffees. So even if you aren't a drinker or like a cocktail, it could still be worth getting one of these packages, as it could save you money in the long run, because they do add tax and gratuity to each drink.
Okay, so we'll start with the classic soda package. Now, you will be able to get a special cup from any of the bars when you give your CPAS card in. Using the cup, you will be able to use the freestyle machines and get Coca-Cola, Sprite, sparkling water, Dr. Pepper, Fanta, Powerade, and loads of different stuff. You can get like the Coca-Colas with the extra flavours in and stuff.
That's only on the freestanding machines though, and it does give you a different option to do this on board if you've ever used them before in restaurants and things like that.
Now, you don't have to carry the cup around with you. You are able to go to any of the bars and get a soda, your Coke, but they are very limited. You won't be able to get cans. It's just out of their fountains.
These packages are on your CPAS card, so every time you order a drink, you just hand your CPAS card over and they will scan and make sure that you have the right package for the right drink. Obviously, if they bring you over a receipt to sign, you can challenge this and ask why this is the case. The next one is the refreshment package. Again, what this does, it includes everything we've just talked about in the classic soda package, but then also includes smoothies, fresh orange juice, specialty cocktails, the virgin cocktails, bottled water, and along with Red Bull and other drinks like Powerade or Gatorade, depending which ones they have on board.
Then we have the deluxe beverage package, which is the top package you can get. It includes all your alcoholic drinks as well as all your soft drinks that we've spoken about before now. Now, the alcoholic drinks are all your top brands. So you're able to get your Tito's vodka, your Grey Goose vodka, your Johnny Walkers, your Kraken rum, anything you want, you're able to get with this package. There are a few malt whiskies, the really expensive stuff where you do have to pay a little bit extra, but in general, everything's included.
So there's then the water drinks packages. You have two options. You can have the Evian bottled water, which gives you 12 or 24 bottles of still water for your sailing. They will last you, or you can buy extra. Then your other option is the San Pellegrino, which is normally comes in the green bottle. That's sparkling water, and these come in either 8 or 12.
And both of the water packages are delivered to your stateroom, not at the bars. Then there's the coffee card that you can pre-purchase through the cruise planner. That is a hole punch card, and as you order your specialist coffees, your lattes, your mochas and what have you, you'll get a hole punch from the barista. One thing to note is that if you get a regular coffee, it's one hole punch. If you want a large coffee, it's 2 punches. So sometimes it's worthwhile just getting the regular and getting more of them.
One thing to note about your drinks packages is any of the private islands that we go to, such as Coco Cay or Labadee, these transfer onto these islands as well, so you don't have to worry about it. And obviously Royal Caribbean have got a lot of things in the pipework where these drink packages will go into these private islands, so that's always a bonus.
Right, Royal Caribbean also has a loyalty scheme called the Crown and Anchor Society. Now, when you get up to a certain level, you're able to get some free drinks. If you get to Diamond level, you will get 4 free drinks per day per person. Diamond Plus, you will get 5 free drinks. And Pinnacle, if you're very, very lucky, you will get 6.
These drinks can be gifted to people. So like for our instance, we get the drinks packages, but we now have hit Diamond. So we still get 4 free drinks a day. When my parents come away, my mum doesn't drink. She only likes a cocktail every so often. So we can actually gift them to my mum, and she can actually still buy the refreshment package so that she's covered for all of her coffees because she loves coffee. But then if she wants a cheeky cocktail, I'm able to treat her.
Or if you meet new friends in the hot tubs, you can also gift them to those as well, which is great. Great way of making new friends.
So, can you actually bring any drinks on board? Well, Royal Caribbean let you bring 12 standard cans, bottles or cartons of non-alcoholic drink on board, and that's per stateroom. So if there's 2 of you in a room, sadly it's only 12. You are allowed to bring 1 sealed bottle, which is 750 ml of wine or champagne per adult. And that's obviously drinking age appropriate, which is obviously different in America compared to Europe. You can take this to the dining room, but you will be charged a corkage fee unless you've already opened it in your stateroom.
Okay, so the big question is, do I need a drinks package? Well, I suppose it's maybe. So the drinks package, it depends on what you drink and how much you drink. So a cocktail generally comes out at about $15 and a beer will be about $8, and a soft drink, a Coke, you're talking about $4 or $5. So you have to do the maths. And the thing is with the drinks packages is Royal Caribbean use dynamic pricing, which basically means that the prices fluctuate a lot, but also if they're discounted, the top price, the original price changes as well. So what you have to do is ignore the actual percentage of discount they're offering, but actually look at the bottom price. Look at how much it's gonna cost you. And that's the safest way to do it.
And like it was already mentioned, per drink, when you buy them on board, they will tax it in gratuity. So that $15 soon becomes $18. That $8 soon becomes $10. So by the time you've had your X amount of drinks, you may have been better off buying the drinks package. You buying these through your cruise planner prior to the cruise is the cheapest way to do this. You can cancel and rebook your drinks packages. We have a credit card set aside so that we're able to do this, so that we've got to know, we know that there's enough limit, because it doesn't come back instantly. So you need to make sure you've got enough room or enough funds in your bank to cover this until the refund is done. They're running it now about 4 to 5 working days. It does vary, and I think it depends on what sales they've got on and what time of the day it is. Because if you do it on a Friday, it's not going to start processing until Monday. Next, we'll talk about internet. It's a tricky one because you can buy one each. So I could buy a device and Jeff could buy a device. Now, this would work out more expensive unless I bought 2 devices. It's strange, it's odd, but they do a discount. The more devices you buy, and you can buy up to 4 per person, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't both buy 4 if you needed to. Why would someone need 8 devices? I don't know, unless you're planning to work and do a lot of stuff on this cruise or any cruise. But ideally, people buy one person on the same person. So when you click, say me, on the cruise planner, it will give me the option to how many I want to buy. And I will just either press 2, 3 or 4, depending on who's coming, how many staterooms we've got, and whatever works out the best, really. And don't forget, all these things, again, you can cancel and rebook if you find that it's a cheaper price. It's a way of saving money. Book it when you first see it, if you're able to, and then check it every few weeks, because the sales change all the time, and you could be saving hundreds of pounds by doing this with your internet, your drinks package, your excursions. It's well worth the effort of looking. The most important one, dining, food. Who doesn't love food on a holiday? Now, there's so many options depending on the size of the ship. It does vary. You have your free food and you have your paid food. So I'll just quickly run through the paid food ones first, and these will usually be Giovanni's, Chops Grill, Izumi. Some have Sabo, but I think there's only one ship that's got that now. And there's Hooked on some of them, which is a seafood restaurant. These are all chargeable. There is some that I haven't mentioned, but you will see these prior if you are booking specialty dining. So let's talk about now the free food, the best food. So you can sit in your main dining room and you have 2 options: traditional dining or maritime dining. Now, they're changing it slightly. There used to only be 2 options for traditional. Now they're making it 3. I don't know if it really makes any difference, but we tend to use that as our same time every night. We like to see the same waiter, and these times will vary on ship. Sometimes 5 till 7, 6:30, 8:30, 8 till 10. And this all depends on you as a cruiser. If you've got kids, you would like to go early. If you've been out all day, sometimes you may want to go late. It all depends, and you can always speak to the maitre d' and try and get these changed you want to. Your other option, my time dining, flexible. It starts from usually 6:30, 7 o'clock, and basically you can turn up to any of the decks and wait in a queue, basically, to be seated. You could be sat with someone different every night. You could be sat with people, not sat with people. Choice is up to you. But obviously, you're going to have to just queue for these unless you get that changed so that you can come at the same time all the time. If you like a waiter or the people that you sat with, if you all wanted to stay again and sit together, you can speak to the maitre d' and they will sort this out for you. They're happy to bend over backwards for you because they want you to come back. And also in their review at the end, they want that magic 10.
Typically, we tend to go for the traditional dining, and we tend to go for the early sit-in, which is normally 5 till 7. Now we do that because the shows typically start for about 7:30, and we don't like to be rushed, or we don't want to miss out on the shows.
Right, and there's going to be a couple of pros and cons to this. Pros, no booking required. You turn up that the time says on your CPAS card on the deck that you're going to be on, and you're going to have the same waiter and server every night, which you build that rapport with, and they get your order right and they know what you like and don't like, the drinks that you may want ordering. We've had times where drinks are there before we are, because they get used to it and you get used to them. It's really good. You don't feel like you're as rushed either because they don't need the table. You've got it for a set amount of time. Just works out better. Well, for us anyway. Now, some of the cons. There can be later sitting times or really early sitting times. As Jeff mentioned, we have the early sitting. That's actually too early for my liking, but 8 o'clock's too late. Waiting line for a table, if you're already hungry, what is even worse is waiting in a line for food. Or your kids waiting in line for food when they've been out all day in the sun, in the pool, they're now tired. It's not enjoyable for anyone, is it? Again, depending on the times that you're there, you may miss the shows. So make it fit for you. You can do it in many different ways. Just speak to them.
There is, of course, the third option, which is the all-you-can-eat buffet, which is always available. It's open from 5 till 10.
Yeah, but obviously it's open for breakfast and lunch as well, so don't forget about that. The Windjammer, that is the name of the buffet, and it's usually on deck 11 or 12. The washy lady or gentleman, depending. We've always had ladies, haven't we? We've never had any washy men, and they will make sure you wash your hands before you go in, because washy, oh no, yummy.
And the Windjammer, there's so much food. Yeah. You'll always find something to eat. It's great for the kids because you'll always have burgers, chips. They'll always have something for you. They'll always have curries, different countries' food. Yeah, and usually it follows a similar theme to what's in the main dining room. So if you've gone out and you just don't want to get dressed up, you don't want the hassle of getting the kids ready, it's an easy option. One of our other options, El Loco Fresh. Now, Mexican food. Great option. Not all the ships have it, but it's worth a try, especially if you're in the pool, because usually it's on the pool deck. Yeah. So you don't have to dry off. You don't have to put your top on to go into the Windjammer, when you could just sit there with El Loco Fresh and eat some Mexican food, chilling by the pool. And again, that's included in your cruise fare, so there's no extra to pay. So the dress code for the main dining room. Now, there is suggestions in your app that you'll use to book stuff and see what time things are on. That suggestion typically will either say casual, formal, or it may have a theme, which might be 80s or Caribbean or white night. Don't forget Halloween, if you're doing a Halloween cruise or a Christmas cruise. We have not done one yet. Who knows, there might be a Christmas jumper night. But remember, it is only a suggestion. When you go to the main dining room, even on formal night, you'll still see people with the flip-flops and shorts, t-shirt. One thing they don't allow is swimwear, so no swim shorts. But as long as you've got shorts on, a t-shirt, you're good to go.
And as much as Jeff said there's a dress code for the main dining room, there is one for the windjammer, and that's usually men, you need a t-shirt on. Women, I think you also need to cover up your bikini or bathers, and generally you're not allowed to be wet. I mean, as long as if you don't go in soaking wet, they're not really bothered, because obviously it becomes a slipping hazard, but they do prefer these. And they will ask you to leave or to put a top on if you aren't dressed appropriately.
You know, the whole thing about the dress code, it really isn't policed. As long as you haven't got your bathers on, you are good.
So, shows and entertainment. If you've seen our previous video about our entertainment that was on Navigator of the Seas, you'll know a little bit about it already, what you can see. On the bigger ships, so that is the Quantum class, Oasis class, Icon class, you can pre-book these. On the Freedom class and below, it's a first come, first served. Doors open 20 minutes before, so we do recommend getting there early. These shows are usually including some sort of West End show, especially on the bigger ships, your comedy acts, ice skating shows. For things like trivia, you don't need a book because it just tells you that it's on. You just turn up and you're lucky if you can find a seat. So again, we'd probably recommend actually turning up early for them, but you can't book them, and that goes on any size ship. You just turn up for your trivia, or for the best, test your luck. Okay, so trigger warning alert. Tipping and gratuities. This, as you will see if you have been on any Facebook group, causes many debates. You can prepare these before you go on board when you're booking your cruise. You can pay them daily through your onboard account, or you can pay them yourself to any staff that you feel has given you ample service, great service, fantastic service. You can, the ones, if you haven't paid them prior and they go on your onboard account, you can go to guest services and reduce this to 0 or put it as high as you want. This is fine. We do it our way, and we're not bothered that people do it the other way. It's all culture at the end of the day. When you speak to someone from America, they tend to tip no matter what. As in America, it's a tipping culture. You tip for anything, really. Even if they've just brought the glass of vino over to you, you tip that person, because as we've seen on many of the Facebook groups, they say they don't pay accordingly, and this goes for on land as well as on the ocean, and that people need these tips to survive. We're from Europe. We only tip if you get really good service, because we're already paying for a service, and over in the UK and Europe, people get paid properly and they can live hopefully a decent life with the money that they're earning, and it pays their bills and does what they need. We shouldn't then feel that we have to tip to make sure they can do this like they do in America. We believe companies should pay a minimum wage like they do in the UK, so that people can live and don't have to hope for tips, because at least if they're getting paid properly, you are going to feel that you're getting that genuine person, and they're not being overly nice to you because they need a tip. They're doing it because it's part of the job, it's part of their life, and they want to be there, they want to make you happy. So we do feel it's definitely a culture vibe, and we know that there's other cultures out there, such as Japan, whereas if you tip them, they can actually find that quite rude. So it really is a culture thing, and at the end of the day, you do what is right for you, and that's fine. if people have got something to argue about it, maybe they've got the problem, not you.
That being said, what we tend to do, because with Royal Caribbean, the service you do receive is fantastic, and the staff will do anything for you and go over and above their actual job role, really. So what we tend to do is pay or give the staff their tips at the end of the week. We do find ourselves manually giving those tips to the staff over what we would pay if we would prepaid the gratuities before we even cruised. So we aren't doing it to sort of rob anyone. We do pay our tips, but we like to pay them by ourselves and make our own decisions about it rather than it being governed by Royal Caribbean.
Again, I understand, the people who are doing your laundry, working in the kitchens, they may not get tips because obviously they don't see anyone. But, they are supposed to put their tips in. You hope that they do. But sometimes when someone's giving you exceptional service, sometimes you hope that they don't, because sometimes you've got staff there that'll work to the bone and give you amazing service. And then you've got other people there that you sort of think, how have you even got through your review? Sometimes, like we said, it's a tricky one, and no one likes talking about it because it does cause debates. But like we say, you do you.
Okay, so some important dates to remember. You've got your final payment date. Now that's 70 days before your cruise on sailings of 1 to 14 nights, 120 days before your cruise on 15 nights or more. So make sure you're paying full before that date. Check-in date is 45 days before your cruise, where you can select your boarding time and you'll need to put in your passport details.
This will be different depending on if you do it online or on the app. If you do it on the app, they want usually like a photo to use on your card straight away. So sometimes it might be worth booting up the old computer or laptop just to secure that online check-in, because it opens usually at midnight of wherever the cruise ship you're going on is going to be at that time.
Luggage tags. Your luggage tags will be available 30 days before your cruise. You will also get an email from Royal Caribbean and it'll have your cruise booklet on, which includes your luggage tags.
We do recommend that you print these off and laminate them, because if it's raining, depending on where you are, or well, we know even hot countries can rain from time to time, these will get wet. But one thing not to do, don't put them on before your flight. Don't want to confuse the airport and potentially your bag ended up somewhere else. Now, items you can't bring on board. I know it sounds mad, but clearly people have tried to bring these things on, especially the first few. They're quite obvious and people still try to bring them on. It is a no-go. Irons, no. And that includes small travel irons. You can't iron in your room. They will, when they scan your case, they'll take it off you. It's in your hand luggage, they'll take it off you. You can pick it up at the end of the cruise, but we've seen many of things being left there at the end that people forget to go back for, or totally forgot they've had it with them. Steamers, portable steamers, again, not allowed. You're going to set off some sort of smoke alarm. No, you can't. Drones, it's a funny one. You're not allowed to use them on the ships, and you're not allowed to use them in the port runway, are you? You're allowed to take them into the ports and do things with them, like get some great aerial shots. But again, you would have to check to make sure this is okay, because some of them don't allow it for different reasons. Your hoverboards or segways, hot plates. There's enough food on the ship and other people are cooking for you for 7 days. Why bring a hot plate?
Electric blankets? No. But you do have air conditioning in your stateroom, so don't worry about being cold.
Extension cables. This is ones where they've got like 2 or 4 sections on. you can't take them.
One thing you can have, the extension cables, you're only allowed to have one mains outlet, but you can have as many USB outlets as you like.
Yeah.
So most modern appliances now, the small appliances, your chargers and stuff, it's USB, so it's great. You can allow to do that.
And obviously we are swapping over now to the C. If you have ports that can do that as well, they are also allowed. It's not restricted to USB, but we know phones, laptops and tablets, they're all changing wire connections all the time. Perishable foods, this is all about diseases and moving from countries to country. You'll have seen Border Patrol at some point, and you see it all the time. You can't take perishables. When you're coming in from port, they scan your stuff, they want your bag, everything, any bags that you buy, the bag that you've gone off with, they'll scan it, and if they see any foods, wine, or things that they don't allow, they will just take them off you, never to be seen again.
Well, with wine and stuff and alcoholic drinks, you can bring them on board, but they will take them off you and give them back to you on your last night of your cruise. The same as when you're purchasing alcohol through the shops on board, you won't actually be allowed to keep it. They will hold it for you until the last night of the cruise. One
thing that is allowed for, I'm going to say females, but there's men out there that also use these. Your straighteners and curling tongs / wands, they are allowed. Just, it's like being at home though, be super careful what surface you're putting them on, who's around you. No one wants to fire at sea. There's other things that aren't allowed, such as weapons, which is pretty obvious, and fireworks. The
candles.
Yeah, candles. I mean, people even still try and take drugs on. Obviously, your prescription drugs and any medications that you do need to take, they're fine, but they will find any of these illicit drugs, so it's not even worth.
And your prescription drugs, always keep them in the original boxes.
With your name on, from the chemist or your pharmacy, normally it is for you, and then that shows that they are yours, they're the right dosage, and that you're not trying to smuggle them on. With these sort of things, it's always worth being honest and open when they're asking you about it, just so that you don't get removed, because we know some medications people seriously need. Here comes the sad news, the sad topic, the one that we all hate. And you'll see pictures of people putting them on at the end of the cruise, of the suitcases lining the halls. It's a sad time for everyone, unless you're lucky enough to do a back-to-back. Disembarking. Now, there's different ways you can do this, and again, it will vary depending on where you are. They will give you, on your last night, tickets, which you will put round your case like your luggage tags, and it'll have a number on, and it will tell you when you can get off the ship. You then would leave your case outside, and when you get off the ship, the port area is a massive warehouse, and there's just numbers, and your case will be at that number. You have, like I say, been given a time to get off. Ideally, they want you to stick to that, because obviously when you're trying to get 3,000 people through a tiny little gangway, it can be quite troublesome.
So on the morning, you'll find that they will be announcing a certain number, the number that went in your case, and that's when you need to try and get off.
And these usually start at number 1 and finish at number 30. By usually about 9 o'clock, everyone is off board. You do have the option though to walk off with your case, and you can do that at any point. You don't put your case out, you don't put the tag on, you can just walk off with your case at any point during the disembarkation. And this is a positive really, because if you've got an early flight, it means you can just, once you're ready, you can get up when you go, or and vice versa. It's going to be late. You've got a late flight, so you can hold on to that ship as long as possible.
It is an option that we tend to go with, the walking off with our case, even if we're in no rush or anything. we like to keep hold of our cases. It also gives you the option to sort of put your last minute items actually in your case. Because obviously if you've put your case out by 10 o'clock, you still might be out on board of the ship at a bar or something. So you still got your clothes and stuff. So, yeah.
It's not just that, morning breath. And if you're flying back from America to the UK, nobody wants that. So you'll keep your toothbrush out, your toothpaste. And there's nothing worse than trying to find keys to locks in a busy port and then rushing off to go and get a taxi or an Uber or your coach, like what you've done with Royal Caribbean. It really is so much easier for us personally to walk off with them. Again, we've talked about how you can get out from the port. It's the same way of coming in. Uber, taxi, Lyft. On disembarkation, you can use sometimes an excursion. If you've got a late flight, you can book an excursion, again through your cruise planner. It will tell you what airports they'll go to, how much it costs, but they will also recommend a time. If you are obviously got a really late flight, it doesn't matter, but if you've say got a 1 o'clock flight, they might recommend you not to do this excursion because they might not be getting you in time, and we know airports can be really busy, especially the big international ones, and no one wants to miss a flight.
It is an option that we have taken advantage of. So you would go off on an excursion for the day and you would take your cases with you, which would stay on the bus. And after the excursion, they drop you off at the airport. It's quite straightforward.
Yeah, and it's really good because they don't just drop you off in one specific area. In America, they have different sections for the different flights, and they'll drop you off at each one. They'll ask you where you are, who you're flying with, Delta, British, American, and they will drop you off at the relative gate. One thing they have in Europe, it was something that they did before COVID and have started doing again recently.
Yeah.
It's more for your American flights rather than your European flights again. It is stay a while. I think the time varies and it'll depend on you when you need to disembark. But you can still use the amenities. Your drinks package will still work, but you can only get the sodas, the coffees, nothing alcoholic.
So it allows you to stay on board the ship for an extra 3, 4, 5 hours perhaps. So depending on when your flight is, it's a really good option and it's not badly priced.
Yeah. And this one is a Brucey bonus. Playmakers. It's for the sports fans. There is TVs all over. There's a special box for people to book out.
Pool tables.
The sand thing, I still don't even know what it's called.
Where you slide the puck along the surface, yeah.
Still don't know what it's called.
Football tables.
Sometimes they have like little games like Jenga, or on our previous cruise there was where you throw the ring on the arms and you have to try and get it on a hook.
Yeah.
They've got some arcade games, as we've mentioned before, such as potentially Pac-Man, the basketball throwing. They have chargeable food in there. Again, once you've paid for all when you've got paid and you've got your free food, do you really want to pay more? Get the beef sliders. Gorgeous. Or actually, I think the pulled pork. But regardless, wherever they are tasty. The do wings, they are your sports bar type of foods.
The service is really good as well. The staff, we've been on a cruise with our 13-year-old boy, and when we've been off doing one thing, he's been playing pool and the staff have played pool with him. It's really good. The service is second to none.
Now we'll talk about the sports. The sports part of this bar can be slightly concerning, and it depends where in the world you come from. If you come from America, it is fantastic. They will put on your NFL. They will put on your baseball. But when you come from Europe, it's not our cup of tea.
No,
Us personally enjoy the Formula One, and they will put a list on each day what's going to be on, but sometimes that can change. And if you've planned your day around this, it can be very annoying when it doesn't go on. On our last cruise, we wanted to watch one of the Formula One races that was going to be on, and they didn't put it on. And to start with, the manager of the bar wasn't overly helpful, was he?
No.
And we were like, but you have told us like this is going to be on. So we've planned our day around this. We've sat here and we weren't happy about it. And then the next day, they actually put the race on.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, so
they did actually find a stream that they could get
Yeah.
to keep us happy, really.
Yeah, because we get it's hard, but don't advertise something that you can't give. But overall, we are generally happy with Playmakers. It's a really good place to be. It's always upbeat, happy. The staff are always willing to talk. There's TVs everywhere. We've watched stuff that we never watch back home, don't we? They do put some of the English football or European football on, and sometimes there's the skating or the wrestling. There's options, but it was just a little bit of a letdown that one time for us. But you move on and get over it. So go to Playmakers. Okay, so after our little Brucey bonus of Playmakers at the end there, we hope you have enjoyed the video of our tips, frequently asked questions that we find in our groups. If there's a question that wasn't in there, ask in the comments. We'll try our best to advise. If not, we'll try and find the answer somewhere, because we do always have a look, and someone in our group may have already asked. So don't forget, put it in the comments, like and subscribe, and come along on our adventures with us, and we'll hope to see you again sometime soon. Bye for now.
Bye.